All right, friends, so today we'll be working on a straddle handstand, but as always, to start out, just getting ready to put weight in your hands. So shifting your weight forward and back, and even, I usually start in almost like a box shape, right? And then over time, I like to move my knees back a little bit and start to create a diagonal line with my body. So I put more and more weight in my hands each time. And then playing around with the position of your hands. Wrists in, fingers out, turning your fingers back towards your knees, shifting it forward and back there. Palms up, shifting the weight forward and back there. Again, being brave and maybe taking the knees back a little bit further, making more of a diagonal line with your body, just so that you're ready to put weight in your hands. And the next thing we're going to start out with is just a cat-cow, because today we're going to work on straddle. Yesterday we worked on cannonball, pike, and L, and I'm going to post that video on the website tomorrow so you can see it whenever you want. But so I know a lot of you guys have already watched it now. So just this idea of cat-cow, so sticking your tailbone up, melting your heart, retracting your scapulus, pulling your heart through, and then around, protract, tuck your tailbone towards your heels. And just take a couple moments to create body awareness and see what that feels like. And I'll have Tony continue on the floor, but let's say you're not in a place where you can do it on the floor. You could also just do it at the wall, right? So I can just take my hands down, hopefully we're not too close, melting my heart towards the wall, and then rounding, pushing tailbone towards the heels. Just trying to feel what it's like with my pelvis for a shape like a straddle handstand. Another thing to consider is doing forward folds. So we'll do some seated forward folds, and as always, we've been taught to just, what's it like to touch my toes, right? So, I can touch my toes, that's great. And you can see how my back is all rounded, my scapulas are protracted, that's awesome. But I wanna find cat-cow here. So can I melt my heart, retract my scapulas, anteriorly pelvic tilt, round, protract, posterior tilt, tailbone towards my heels. So I create this difference of shapes, which I'm really able to exaggerate in the body. But if we look at Tony, you can't really see the shape change that much in his pelvis. And that's no shade. That's just, he might feel it more than it's visible, but it's something to consider as we move towards straddle. And we'll do a couple of straddles. T, will you straddle with me? So you don't have to do this with a partner, but for one, you might just choose to fold forward. And that's really what Tony likes to do in this straddle forward fold. And you can see, stay there, T. You can see, I'll just have you put your hands on the ground. You can see how his back is rounded, right? And his tailbone is almost going all the way towards his heels. And that's just how flexible he is, and that's totally fine. But if we can try to create this anterior pelvic tilt, which I'll demonstrate, instead of rounding and leaning forward, I'm going to anteriorly pelvic tilt, chest towards the floor, retract my scapulas, almost heart all the way towards the floor. This is really the shape for a straddle handstand. So let's go ahead and face everyone. And another idea is just these leg lifts. And I love doing these straddle leg lifts. And there's so many variations. But again, I'm not going to try to do everything that I would normally do in an hour class for this. So we'll just lift one leg and the other. And you might not be able to do this. And you might have to just lift one leg at a time. And that's cool. Or you might be able to lift both legs at the same time. You might need your hands for this and make a couple circles with external rotation, a few circles with internal rotation, or my absolute favorite, lifting and pushing the legs out to the side. So this is exactly like a straddle press, but if I demonstrate from the side, let me have you demonstrate, Tony, from the side. Just lift your legs up and try to push out to the side with the hands on the floor. Push, push out to the side. So you can see the distance between his thighs and his chest and how low his legs are to the ground, right? And that's just what he's working with in terms of his flexibility and the strength of his hip flexors. And that's a great drill to work. But in terms of a straddle press, if you look at how high my feet are, they're literally at the height of my head, so that I can push and then push my legs out to the side. Okay, so Tony can muscle into something like a straddle press, whereas I can't muscle into it. I can just use all of the things in my wheelhouse to make it happen. So let's go ahead and get on the wall and we'll work on the straddle, okay? So I'll have Tony demonstrate, for starters, using the stool. So we've got a stool, and so because it's a stool and it's not super huge, I'll show it from the side, he'll be able to just do a small straddle, but the small straddle is going to be good just based on his flexibility. So Tony, I'll have you set up in hands and knees with your feet touching the edges in hands and knees. So with your hands on the floor and your knees on the floor, and then your feet touching here. Okay, in hands and knees with your feet, hands and knees with your feet touching right here.
Like this?
No,
Show
like
me.
this. Like this. With your feet touching. No. So look, Tony, my knees are under my hips and my hands are under my shoulders. Literally do this.
I do it doing that.
No, but with your feet.
Welcome to home practice with
Your feet right here. Turn around. Just turn around.
Like this. There we go.
Can I get an amen? Okay, so hands and knees, and we want him to lean forward and round through his upper back, protract his scapulars, just like that cat-cow we were going through, right? So now he's just gonna lift his knees off the ground, and then he's gonna put one foot and then the second foot on the stool. And you can see right now how his hips aren't actually stacked over his shoulders. So I'm gonna ask him to try to straighten his legs. He's still not stacked. So I would ask him to take his feet towards the corners of the stool.
Dude, way to hold the weight.
Towards the corners. You just do it on top. You just push straight down, babe. There you go. And then his hands still need to go closer to the stool. If you ever practice classes with me, I'm always like, you just do this. It's like literally that easy. So as we all know, it's not. But if you look, his hips aren't totally stacked. Okay, but we're gonna try to make this shape at the wall. Tony, I'll go ahead and have you come down. So I'm gonna do the same shape as I would set up using the wall. So if I set up and my hands are under my shoulders and my feet are touching the wall and I'm using a bookshelf, right? But I would use the wall or the stool, and just know what feet means. Lift your knees off the ground and then take one foot to the height of your hip and then the second foot. Then I'm gonna press my butt over the shoulders. Then I'm gonna take one foot to the side and I'm gonna take the other foot to the other side. So I could put this other foot on like my couch or something. And then remember those leg lifts we just did? I wanna try to compress my thigh to my chest, to try to find the balance. So if I'm doing it sideways, I have to be prepared to fall, which is okay. And I know there's a lot of people in here. You can see how I just moved my hands and I was okay. I could do it a different way with a full wall. So same way I just showed you how to get up. Now I'm gonna press my butt over my shoulders, one foot to the wall, second foot to the wall, compress, thigh to the chest, compress, thigh to the chest. And then you can see how because I'm pulling my legs down here, if I go up, I have to be ready to fall. But if I just do the same setup, thighs to the chest, just like we did yesterday, one leg towards the ground, other leg towards the ground, I'm not gonna flip over. In fact, I'm just gonna land on my feet. Okay, so if you wanna try that a couple times, but as you can see, everything is easier said than done, and everybody's body is different. So Tony's body is a lot, it's way different than my body. So just because it works in my body doesn't mean that it's gonna work in your body. So trying the straddle on the stool, on the couch, or on the wall is gonna be really helpful. Can I get the stool back one more time? And then I'll show you guys how to hop. So if you haven't tried that, try that a couple times. And if you're still struggling to get up, I'm gonna show you guys using the stool and how it works for me. So my feet are gonna touch the bottom of the stool. I'm gonna push the floor away, lift my knees, take one foot to the stool, second foot to the stool. Now, I can already feel that my hips aren't over my shoulders, but you can see I have this anterior pelvic tilt. Butt over the shoulders. I'm going to take one leg down and forward. I'm not taking it up, right? That's counterintuitive. I'm actually taking it down towards my wrist. Then I take the other leg down towards my wrist to find the balance in the shape. Okay? And then if I'm going to fall, I'm going to land on my feet instead of going up and over. If I let my legs go up, then they're going to go up. So if you haven't watched the video on like L that we did yesterday, or this idea of like compressing thigh to the chest, that's really helpful because you actually have to use the strength of your hip flexors to find the balance, and that'll also translate to something like a toe tap or something else. Let's also work towards hopping towards the wall. So for the sake of the video, I'll actually have Tony demonstrate not hopping to the wall. I will be his wall, but if he was going to position himself, he would want to be literally maybe 8 inches away from the wall. Hands down, right? Thighs are going to touch the chest. Round through the upper back. Let's say I'm afraid to hop. I'm going to go down and forward, and just do this little stroke. Down, stroke, forward. Or if I feel comfortable, I'm going to take a few hops up. And you can see how I take my legs up, I might lose control, right? He was ready to catch me, like the wall would. Or if I keep my legs down and I'm actively pulling them down towards my wrists, I'm just going to hold it. Okay, and that's the same idea of just pushing your legs out to the side. Now, Tony doesn't have as much of an anterior pelvic tilt as I have, so his shape is gonna look a little bit different. So let's look at Tony's shape. So Tony's gonna put his hands down, and I just want you guys to notice the distance between his hands and his feet. See how close they are, right? They're pretty close. A lot of times we wanna hop with so much space. Round through the upper back, push into my hand. He's gonna hop down and forward low. Ooh, look how low it is. Down and forward low. Do you see how he's just shifting the weight from his legs into his hands? And it's not really a lot of momentum, and it's not a lot of hop, right? And then he's gonna pull his hips over his shoulders, or I'm gonna do it too, and I can't wait to lift everybody again, right? He's gonna go straight up and down. If you haven't caught thousands of people in handstands, definitely wouldn't necessarily recommend catching somebody in a handstand because it can be really dangerous and it's really easy to get kicked in the face and get your teeth knocked out. We don't want that to happen. But let's show it one more time, that super low hop, Tony. So he's just gonna round through the upper back, shoulders are on top of the wrist, little tiny lean and baby hop out to the side. It's scary, but he has to use the strength of his core to pull his hips over his shoulders. Can you take your legs closer to the floor, T?
Oh, you're gonna throw me off.
Oh, right there. That's where I want him. That's right there. Okay, so that's a straddle handstand. And, another way of thinking about this, if you tried this video, hey, what's up, Brooke? Hey, Amy, how are you? Is to work it on the ground, too. So one thing that I like to do is just to do like right over the left over the right, split the legs wide, right, left, wide. And I'm not trying to do anything extreme here, but I just want to feel that spot where I feel tension. And then when I feel that spot, I'll keep the legs wide, and then I'm going to lift up and push into the ceiling. And it's literally this shape. And look at the relationship between my heels and my hands. So they're actually pretty close. And a lot of times we think of a straddle handstand to look like this. And what I'm talking about is finding compression within that shape, because it'll translate to slow lowering, toe tapping, straddle pressing, press down, press up, all of those kinds of things. But as always, easier said than done. If you liked the video, let your friends know. Also, we are taking donations on the website, and we're shooting these videos also horizontally and in a format where you can just stream it from your house anytime. So if you want to go to the website, check that out. Or if you want to just click on the link in the profile, there's a link for donations and things like that. And if you have any requests or anything like that, please let me know and I'll do my best. I know there was already a request for splits, so we'll work splits in handstand, but we'll also work splits on the floor. Oh, Brian, did you miss it? Really? You missed it. Tony got tortured. So anyways, I hope everybody is having a fabulous day. And hey, yeah, Jamie, I really appreciate you tuning in and sharing on your story about the handstands. We'll do it again tomorrow. We'll do a different one, but if you want to request, let me know. But it's a live video. This is real. And, you know, so anyways, okay, you guys have a great day. Thanks, bye.
Hilarious.
It's fine.
Yeah.
People like it.
I was worried.
I'm like feet on the thing.